Mm. There we have it.
There it is, breaking now. Donald Trump has just issued an ultimatum that could end Keir Starmer's political career. What unfolds in the next 48 hours may reshape Britain's future. This isn't just another bit of political theater or campaign noise. What you're about to hear is one of the most explosive clashes between the US and the UK in generations, and it's happening right now as alarm bells are ringing through Downing Street. Trump has dropped a political bomb on Britain's Prime Minister. The shockwaves are already ripping through London's political class like a Category 5 storm. But don't expect the mainstream outlets to explain what's really at stake. This may be the opening salvo in the end for Starmer's government. If you want the inside story on the international power play that could redraw global politics, subscribe now, because this is one of those moments that changes how you see leadership on the world stage. Here's the scene that rocked Westminster. At 11:47 p.m. London time, in a late-night interview that immediately blew up online, Trump delivered what insiders are calling a political execution order for Keir Starmer. He didn't just criticize, he struck with surgical intent to destroy. This is his last chance, Trump said, speaking with the gravitas of the world's most powerful leader. He accused Starmer of betraying his people, of turning his back on the very heroes who risked everything for Britain, and now he warned that full judgment is coming. But Trump didn't stop at rhetoric. He spelled out the consequences in a way that terrifies people inside Labour's inner circles. At the heart of this showdown is a moral outrage so stark it's drawing people together across political divides. While many of Britain's war veterans, men and women who lost limbs in Afghanistan, who saw comrades killed in Iraq, who sacrificed their futures for this country, are forced to sleep on freezing streets, Starmer's government is reported to be spending roughly £1.2 billion a year housing illegal migrants in four-star hotels. Let me be specific about what those public pounds are buying. We're talking heated pools, full gyms, spa services, round-the-clock room service, lavish buffets, entertainment lounges, and private en-suite bathrooms stocked with premium toiletries. Some nights in those places cost more than what many British families pay for an entire month's rent. Now imagine that contrast, it's infuriating millions. Last week, James Patterson, a Royal Marine and three-tour Afghanistan veteran, was discovered sleeping in a cardboard shelter outside a central London McDonald's. His legs were maimed by an IED. He battles PTSD and can't hold down normal work. The government he nearly died defending reportedly offered him nothing, while spending hundreds of pounds a night on people who entered the country unlawfully. That image, homeless heroes versus pampered lawbreakers, has become the defining tableau of what critics call Starmer's moral failure. And Trump has just blown it up into an international crisis that could bring down the government. The timing could not have been sharper. As British papers ran split-screen photos, veterans shivering on one side, hotel buffets on the other, Trump intervened, leveraging his unrivaled megaphone. His comments didn't just spread, they detonated across every platform in minutes. Within half an hour of his remarks, hashtags calling for Veterans First and Starmer Out began trending in multiple countries. 2 hours later, the story was top news from New York to Sydney. By morning, it had generated tens of millions of social interactions, ranking among the fastest-moving political stories in recent memory. But social traction was only the opening act. The real shock hit when Trump's statement reached Westminster. During Prime Minister's questions yesterday, the Commons crackled with tension. Opposition MPs smelled weakness. The public gallery overflowed with reporters. Then a defining moment arrived. Conservative MP Sarah Henderson rose holding a photograph that would soon be seen worldwide, an image of James Patterson curled inside his cardboard shelter, wearing his military jacket because it was the only warm thing he had. Her question landed like a command. "Mr. Prime Minister," she asked, "can you look at this photo and explain to James Patterson, and every veteran sleeping rough, why your government thinks it's more moral to spend billions on luxury hotel rooms for people who broke our laws than to give our heroes a warm bed and basic dignity?" The silence afterward was crushing. You could feel the weight of thousands of homeless veterans filling that chamber. The moral force behind the question was undeniable. Starmer's answer was political suicide in slow motion. Rather than acknowledge the human crisis, show empathy, or accept responsibility, he delivered a bland technocratic response that gutted his authority. We face complex challenges that require balanced solutions across multiple government departments, he said, in words that sounded rehearsed and hollow. We remain committed to supporting all vulnerable groups through evidence-based policy frameworks. Parliament erupted. Opposition MPs yelled for a real answer. Labour backbenchers stared at the floor, visibly uncomfortable. The Speaker called for order, but the harm was done. Within 15 minutes, the exchange was clipped and uploaded. It racked up millions of views in the first hour alone. Outrage poured in, veterans, military families, and ordinary citizens expressing betrayal, raw, unmistakable anger. Then Trump delivered the knockout. He shared the Parliament clip with his roughly 90 million followers and added 7 words: "This is Britain's question. Answer it now." Those 7 words reframed a domestic scandal as a global moral indictment. They gave international legitimacy to British public fury and cast Trump as the defender of UK veterans, a role that, in theory, belongs to Britain's own leaders. The optics are devastating for Starmer. An American president appears more willing to stand up for British heroes than Britain's own Prime Minister. Headlines write themselves: Trump defends UK veterans while PM stays silent. America cares more about British soldiers than Britain does. The narrative is politically poisonous. Inside Number 10, panic has reportedly taken hold. Sources describe emergency meetings stretching into the early morning hours. Ministers are scrambling for responses that don't make them look callous or weak. But every path seems to end in trouble. If Starmer apologizes to Trump, he risks appearing subservient to foreign influence. If he retaliates against Trump, he risks alienating voters who agree with the criticism. If he defends the hotel policy, he looks morally bankrupt. If he abruptly reverses course, he appears to be acting only under foreign pressure. It's a classic political death spiral, and, crucially, Trump set it in motion. The raw numbers fueling public fury are shocking. The reported £1.2 billion per year works out to roughly £3 million a day, housing around 50,000 migrants in hotels. At the same time, official counts show more than 4,000 military veterans are homeless or in unstable accommodation. Break that down and it's about £24,000 per migrant per year for hotel costs, more than many families' annual incomes. Most veterans on benefits receive under £10,000 a year. When those figures are matched with the images of homeless veterans in luxe hotel suites, the reaction is volcanic. Comments sections explode. MPs' phone lines jam with angry constituents. Town halls turn into fiery forums where citizens demand answers from politicians who seem to have lost touch with public priorities. This crisis has leapt out of Britain and become an international incident that's damaging the UK's standing. The White House reportedly issued a diplomatic statement expressing deep concern over the hotel spending when contrasted with treatment of veterans. Other world leaders, cautious about weighing in on internal British affairs, are said to be privately alarmed that London is undermining public trust at a moment when Western unity matters. The emerging global narrative is brutal: a country that's lost its moral compass, abandoned core obligations, and appears to prioritize optics over justice. For Starmer, whose leadership pitch depended on restoring Britain's credibility on the world stage, this public humiliation is catastrophic. Economic fallout followed fast. Tech firms already uneasy about Britain's regulatory direction are accelerating plans to shift investments away. Financial markets reacted. London's finance sector reportedly lost billions in market value within a day of the story breaking. Analysts warn a confidence crisis is brewing. The pound weakened, borrowing costs ticked up, and investor appetite cooled as political instability became measurable. Inside Labour, the situation has deteriorated from crisis to near collapse. At least 9 Labour MPs are publicly demanding an immediate halt to the hotel program. Junior ministers have reportedly prepared resignation letters, waiting for the right moment. Backbenchers say defending the policy in public is political suicide because their constituents are furious. Even union leaders, typically defenders of Labour, are privately warning of electoral disaster if the crisis continues. The pressure isn't only political. King Charles has weighed in with pointed public remarks about the nation's duty to care for those who served. Given the monarch's moral authority, those words carry weight and echo Trump's critique. When both the US president and Britain's head of state signal the same moral concern, the space for Starmer to defend his position becomes vanishingly small. He's now not simply facing parliamentary opponents, he's under international pressure, royal censure, and rebellion from within his own party. Social media continues to pour fuel on the fire. Every day brings new, viral content, veterans filming their living conditions next to gleaming migrant hotels, military families describing harsh financial realities while pools bubble for hotel guests. These are not slick campaign ads, they are authentic, painful stories that no spin doctor can fully erase. Trump amplifies the most potent clips to his massive audience, each share widening the spotlight on Britain's moral crisis. Each viral thread tightens the squeeze on Starmer's government. The question is no longer whether Starmer will be hurt politically, it's whether his administration can survive. When a foreign leader projects more moral authority on a domestic issue than the domestic leader himself, when the monarch's comments align with the international condemnation, when your own MPs are ready to jump ship and ordinary voters across the political spectrum are united in outrage, survival becomes precarious. Charities supporting veterans report an unprecedented surge in donations. Citizens are stepping in to help homeless veterans directly, while critics point out that the government appears to be prioritizing migrants' comfort over those who served. Protests outside migrant hotels are growing. The gap between public values and government choices has hardened into a profound crisis of legitimacy. This is no longer merely about immigration policy or budget numbers. It has become a fight over the moral identity of the nation. Does the government still represent the people's priorities, or has it lost touch with the country's fundamental obligations? Keir Starmer is fighting for more than a policy now, he's fighting for his political life. With Trump's voice echoing globally, with the King's moral nudge, with MPs circling the exits, and with voters unified in outrage, the odds of his survival shrink by the hour. The next 48 hours will be decisive. Starmer could limp through this by somehow regaining trust, or he could see his government collapse under its own contradictions. Either way, Trump has already won the larger war. He's exposed British leadership as vulnerable, out of step, and politically brittle. What do you think happens next? Can Starmer survive this international humiliation? Was Trump right to intervene in Britain's internal politics? And above all, do our veterans deserve better treatment than illegal migrants? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more in-depth political commentary, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of power and politics. Thanks for watching.